Hello, it's me, Shoctorr, coming at you with an interesting one. After the conclusion of the gold match for Emerald Outfit Wars, Wrel offered to hop on and discuss some interesting stuff around the devs' potential plans moving forward with the format. Overall, it's a pretty impromptu conversation between me, Zyros, and Wrel, but I think it has a lot of good insights from all sides. So enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye bye. All right, well,
There's
ladies
nothing
and
I can do
gentlemen,
about
Wrel
that.
is here, lead game designer. How are you doing first before we get into the whatever you want to call it, drama or anything like that?
No, I don't think there's any drama. Also, everybody in chat, suck my nuts.
Hell yeah, get him, bro!
Get him.
See the guy calling me a fat fuck? Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm curious. So the 1v1 thing, like it could be a possibility later on down the line. There's just like a long road to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first iteration of it. I mean,
yeah, there's like a lot of usability stuff and tech, like additional tech that makes it so you can do this in a tournament format. And it's like we've never said that we don't want to do that. Like people are so. Anyway.
Tell your truth, bro. But yeah, I don't want you to get in any trouble.
No, I have to be respectable.
people fill the void with inferences. Like if I say, oh, we got double teamed, everyone's going to assume that I'm being salty about a match that, I mean, essentially I'm not even meant to be there in the first place. So, you know, I feel like...
I got a curious question. So we've been batting around ideas for in the 1v1 format or a 1v1v1 format. So right now it's set up to like encourage you to double team, right?
Yeah,
I don't think there's any. Yeah, there's no. everybody gets that.
To doing it.
Right. But I was wondering. So we've been talking about like comeback mechanics, or like underdog sort of bonuses. Back during the very first Outfit Wars, or maybe just the testing. I think we killed it before it went live. But there was like you gained points via kills, and it was just too much. Like basically the outfits didn't even need to capture territory. They would just kill everybody. Like killers like yourselves, and it like defeated the point. I think that the current format is for it. Like it's understandable, especially when you got like good casters, saying the strategy.
Hello?
Oh Jesus!
You there, Wrel? We lost you for a sec. Oh, now he's muted. All right, technical difficulties. Pause, champ.
Yep.
Everyone's Monka W. They're getting him, bro. Rel, no! They got him.
Is it good now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, my microphone it's on its last legs.
Jesus.
Where did my
you were talking about kills,
just after kills,
potentially incentivizing that, and then you kind of cut off.
It was just just after you said kills would contribute too much to points, and you could just not cap territory.
Yeah. So that got removed.
It out on, like kills being like 1 or 10 for like 1 point or something along, like 10 for like I don't know, like 1 for 50 points or whatever. 50 for 1 point.
Yeah. Like there would definitely need to be balancing involved. I'm wondering if you had like a pool of basically like comeback points for like the last place outfit, if the kills that they achieved up to a certain amount would give them points, it would always keep you in the running, even if you're getting like 2v1'd, because you're just feeding the better outfits, ones that are killers or whatever. And the people who are getting focused, at least this season, have been like those really scary high KDR players. So I wonder if that's a mechanic that could be more conducive to a 1v1v1 format, but I'd be interested in your take on it.
I mean, I would appreciate it if there was some form like that, like you only got points for kills if you're in last place, and then it stopped as soon as you weren't in last place.
Yeah.
I think the matches would go by quicker, but that's probably not a good thing overall. But yeah, I think you might have to up the limit to like 1,000 for that. But
yeah, if it was flat like that,
you'd have to up it to like 1,000, and then only get points where you're underneath a certain threshold of points, or you're in last, something along those lines. It would just give you a way to battle back. But I mean,
yeah, if we could build up a pool of points that are like based on how long the match has gone on,
the
or
system
something like
isn't
that.
perfect right now, but it's definitely better than the first thing that we had, like having to cap bases on live and the bugs that resulted from that.
Yeah,
but
getting there is way better.
that was rough.
Now it's just a matter of like when we are there.
I tried getting into season 1 of on Emerald, and that was a mess. I got to play season 2, but yeah.
But at what cost?
Well, I mean, I played with
dude, I remember Zyros and I were both grinding for it, like for DD12, and it took hours of our
the qualifiers
days,
were awful.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say
really
it was fun
for 3
though.
days.
It was fun to just like play the game together finally, but yeah, what was awful about it was that we didn't get to play, you know? So that was really the only thing I think from both of our ends. I don't want to talk for you though, Zyros.
Funnily, it was actually Turaf who kicked us out on 3rd at that time, if you remember, which is quite funny.
It was Turaf, AOD, and then I'm forgetting the other one.
Salt.
Oh, and Salt. Yeah, Salt. So yeah, we grinded all day, and then we ended up not getting it. But I don't think it was the grind that was the issue. It was more like us not actually getting to play at all. Like if there was more seeds, weren't we in 4th or something after we got knocked off? It was like if there was more seeds, then I think we would have been fine with grinding because there was that end reward. But yeah, it is what it is. Like that's just the past that we're kind of talking about now.
Yeah, and there was a lot of burnout associated at that time too. Like, and given how people were like how hard everybody was going, it actually made the experience worse for everyone else that had to like suffer through it. Who just wanted to play the normal game, which in the sandbox is pretty casual for the most part. But you had all these outfits that were going super hard. So yeah, qualifiers, getting rid of those is a big goal for this outfit wars. Setting up the tournament format. Yeah. What do you think about maybe not single eliminations, but maybe like some losers bracket sort of stuff?
I think that's hard to kind of talk to.
It's hard. That's hard to do because you don't know how many signups you're gonna get at all, and if you have a losers bracket at that point, it could result in like if you say you have only like 8 people who sign up, how do you even do a losers bracket at that point? Because you still got to do playoffs and the starting matches. Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely some work would need to go into it. So like my goal right now, at least as far as the just the thought process. So like first off, this entire outfit wars has been very difficult. Not just for the players, but for the team.
No, I don't envy you. You've had to like be the referee the whole time. Like
I have one thing.
Just the tech to like fixing all the problems. It was just misstep after misstep after misstep.
I have one thing to say about the system of the signups. Make it so that people can't accidentally sign up, please.
Yeah, the only reason we were there is because we accidentally signed up.
As much as I enjoy the meme factor of getting to gold, being top VS outfit on a meme sign up from someone who probably shouldn't have had perms to sign up, which is an option. The actual signing up process is like you click a button and you pay resources and then you're in, and there's no way of undoing it.
Right. Did you
difficult?
Did you happen to read like where I talk about a lot of these problems and
yes,
in a dev letter?
It's just something that an outfit my co-lead just reminded me of it, and I wanted to mention it because I think a lot of people could accidentally sign up in a lot of cases, and I think a lot of people did, and then would just
totally. Yeah, we've actually already got that solved internally.
Okay, good.
A new system set up. Yeah, we've made a lot of changes.
That match, the first match we played, we definitely wouldn't have even attempted to play at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's man, the worst part for the first few weeks of Outfit Wars was just like watching the empty matches and then the casters doing their best. Like PSB has been amazing, just like continually like getting casters on all the matches and trying to like. So if you, I don't know how much you guys
doing very good work.
Yeah, no, like there's a whole bunch. I think Farah even came back. And he was for a long time like my favorite caster for like community smash and that sort of thing. But it's like there's a lot of positivity outside of the system or surrounding like the actual like watching the matches and that sort of thing. It does depend on who's casting. I think to some degree. In fact, I think the saltiest that I've seen people about Outfit Wars happens
Say
to
it.
be in this
Say
particular
it,
stream.
bro. Say it.
It's true. It's just like, and the
No,
people
I
here who
agree.
are watching, you are
agree.
kind of there for that. And then yeah. I won't
I
go into
was
it.
mad.
But
I am still a little mad, but like the thing is, like after me and you talked, I feel like I've done a bit better. I don't know if you think so or not, but like I was just more mad about like the due diligence side of like not making sure that the outfits that were signing up would even get to play or would be able to play, excuse me, in a format that was like, like having like 20 people, 30 people is enough, but like, like somebody just signing up with like one person and then just like almost ruining the match. And then another issue is like the seating of how that kind of applies to the other outfits. Like, a big reason that, like, I don't want to call it any outfit specifically because that'll just call it more drama. So I'll just say a lot of the reason why some of the outfits were able to get to like gold or silver brackets because they kind of had padding. They didn't have to verse hard outfits. Whereas like Help and B-Way literally had to verse each other over and over again to the point that Help got knocked out. And then 3-Way, even though they won, they got knocked out as well. And then it's kind of like a strike in their pride as well as like a strike in their skill. So I don't know. That one's a tough one. But I agree. I was really salty. I think now I've kind of been getting better, except last week where Signup just kind of threw as well. But it's been less about me getting mad at the dev team fully and more like a 50-50 of me getting mad at like the format itself, but then how the players are like metagaming or, trying to set the tournament so that they can get like, oh, if I'm not going to get the gold reward, let me try and get the silver one instead. But yeah, not to rant for too long.
No, I mean, it's fun to be mad. And have a lot of emotions surrounding the stuff. It's just, I think like it's much more helpful for everyone involved, including the audience, when there's like okay, these are the specific problems. Hopefully we get solutions in the future. Like it's a very different attitude than just like.
Well, I kind of share the mentality that I think a lot of people share, where it's like we're calling this like alpha, right? But it's on live, anyone can do it, and this is almost like this is for some people this is it. Like this is live. Right. This is whatever. So I don't know. So it is one of those. It just depends on the mindset of like, do you think this is an alpha, a beta, or is this live? And there's split opinions on that too. So like I almost saw this as like I didn't even think of this as an alpha. Like this was it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, anytime you put something that's like a product in front of the players in like normal circumstances, it should be considered like this is live. This is what it is. We threw the alpha tag on it because we know that there's some things that we need to get changed in the future, and we didn't have an opportunity to like play the game at this scale or play the Outfit Wars system at this scale. So a lot of the flaws weren't like readily apparent, and also there was a bunch of people saying like, oh, we gave them all this feedback and this like some of that's true. But most of the time, it's not. Like they're just like pointing out things like, no, we said this thing, and it's just like, where, where did he say these things?
That's a difficult one too. That is a difficult one as well, because it's like they have to. People when they put feedback, it's like, is your feedback going to be even, like I don't know, is it going to have any sort of weight because we don't really know who you are? Because I would argue that there are people that should have feedback, and then there are people that should not really, because again, if you try to have everybody try to tell you what to do, you're going to get inundated with just differing opinions, and then you're not really going to be able to act on any sort of knowledge. So there's like, that's almost like a people in the community that have sway, and I can think of a lot of names of people who are like respectful and aren't like me. Like I'm not saying my feedback should be the only feedback. But there are a lot of like respect. Yeah, like me, Zyro's, like we'll give you feedback.
I say
but
what's
like
on my mind, yeah.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be like the people
a lot of people
either.
in chat asking about the.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that later. Yeah, we can bring that up now if you want, but
yeah, because
I don't want to throw you
a lot of people asking about it. Like,
all right, say it again.
So Hydra was one of the outfits that got banned. Yeah,
and a lot of people in Hydra and outside of Hydra are wondering like what the actual reason was behind that decision.
I am not going to speak on that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, like I didn't want to ambush you with that question either, because I just I don't want people to think in chat that I'm not reading chat, but there's a reason why I didn't bring that up in the first place. But maybe we'll find out about it eventually. But when it comes to the final, I mean, Rel, when you were watching me, and maybe you were watching other POVs at the same time, because you can do that with like multi-Twitch. Like, what were your what were your observations of it, and like, were there any lessons learned from it on your side? Will you walk away with like what you saw to like, I don't know, because I like to think of my feedback as indirect feedback. Like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'll show what's going on, and then it's kind of like your decision to kind of move forward off of, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so like the comeback mechanic sort of conversation, or maybe not that specifically, but just like, how do you make people stop playing for a second specifically?
Yeah.
That's a concern that's been in for, since the early weeks, but it's like, okay, we're stuck with it now, can't change the format mid-season. And God, yeah, it'd be super difficult to do that anyway.
Do you think?
But I think that's the biggest thing.
Or go ahead. Sorry.
So I think like that's the biggest point of concern. That, and then also having more, like, all right. So if you go to the Fortnite website, and look at all of their tournament, the rulings, like they started out, like a designer wrote it. It's just like, there's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then eventually, as more tournaments began to happen, there's like more and more legalese because of just how, what's the best way to say this? Like, because of like, if people see if they see a hole, they're going to exploit it, and then look back and say like, oh, no, you didn't tell us specifically that we can't do this thing. Well, people specifically like don't put up signs that say don't pee in the pool, but like when people pee in the pool or maybe poop in the pool, like everybody in the pool has to get out, right? Like it's just a known thing. So there's but unfortunately, I think that if we go into season 2, like we'll have to have a more like a tighter code of conduct for like the expectations of what the players, how their behavior should be, and I also think that some of this is kind of untenable, like the overhead that's included in trying to regulate outfits on the level that it would make sense to like have to regulate them if you're saying like, oh, no heavy like collusion or whatever. It's expensive. Like there's just a lot of overhead that the team doesn't necessarily, like our team's not large enough to do that. And it's not like we're pulling CS in to monitor every match and like make calls, mid-season or whatever. And then what if, people at the end of it at championships just decide to throw? Like, so this is probably the hardest, 2v1 that I've seen in all the championships that I've been watching today.
So he agrees. It was a 2v1.
It's like, yeah, this is there's
the lead game designer agrees that it was a 2-1.
It's in the game. It's encouraged in a lot of cases, and it's how it goes.
Yeah,
like it's expected. Everyone expected it.
Yeah. And by the way, Rel, I hope you don't get hate for saying what you just said there, because you just said that they 2v1'd us. Like, I don't want you to get in trouble for that. I mean, I agree. Like they did.
No, I mean, but like you said, Shock, like there wasn't any like malice in the words or anything, and it made sense that they would do that because you guys are killers. Like that's. I think if anything, like Zyros, you could have in any 2v1 situation, like I think the best way out of it, or at least to break the like cycle, is to focus a single base. So you're not spending your pop.
That's why we did Can 1.
Yeah.
Like push
or right off the
gate, and then we pushed the 2 rounds warp gate and had 6 bases by the end of it. That's all we could do. Like
right.
I was doing everything I could to break out of it, but there was at the end of the day, having 0 points for 10 minutes just made it impossible.
No, and I feel like that was the thing that killed you too. Like exactly. Not, seeing the 2v1 at the start and then like getting a win on one of the home bases. Rolling. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not faulting you for any of this. Please don't make it sound like that, or like, I'm just saying, like,
take it as that. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. But yeah, like obviously the format should improve, and I do think that it should be conducive to, like, if we're going to be having 1v1v1s in any sort of, like, in a way that just makes it more fun and like understandable for everybody, and like there's not this sort of like the ability to blame collusion, or to even blame like ringers and that sort of thing. Like I want to remove all the excuses
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that kind of led to what happened today, happened last weekend. It's happened to 69KD 3 times now. That's why I played the meme, like the country roads, and it's us losing our both of our home bases. It's because the steal is possible. Like we lost. I don't know when you tuned in to me specifically, but right at the beginning when 2RAF stole the base that my squad was supposed to be at, it was 1 second.
No, it wasn't 1 second. It was 4 because Gan died on impact, and then yes, it was 4. R1 the KN1 one was 1 second.
No, they didn't actually start flipping though till 1 second because we were fragging them.
Oh yeah, but still, like you had 4 seconds on the timer.
Are you talking about the difference between their time and our time?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about like when they dropped specifically. When they dropped, it was 1 second. It flipped. They had more people. Yeah. We couldn't kill them fast enough, and then we lost it.
The thing is, though, if you didn't have that 4 seconds, it would have been fine.
By the way, let me just say something real quick. Chat, I'm not asking him any of your questions. All you can put some wide hardos in the chat, maybe some wide people happies, but if you're asking me and adding me to ask Wrel a question of yours, to maybe even like, I don't know, whether it is to ask him a question you really want to hear or you want to just ambush him, I'm not asking him that question. Yeah. You fuckers have been throwing this shit in chat for like the past 30 minutes. I'm not asking Wrel any of your questions. This is me and Zyros talking to Wrel. You guys are we are A, Wrel is B. Y'all can see yourselves out. All right, thank you.
It's a TED talk.
These fucking idiots, bro. I'm sorry. It's like ask Wrel for feet pics. Like it's so many. I don't know.
There is one thing about the whole catch-up mechanics.
Wait, do you mind me finishing my point real quick, Zyros? Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure, go. Yeah,
like
sure.
I think the main issue is kind of like the whole base stealing, where it's like the cap at the end, you can just instantly steal it. And like, although it is a cool mechanic, like it lets us kind of like come in and I don't know, make like a 3-way fight for a moment and then have the opportunity to steal. That beginning part of the game really makes it so that if we are in a situation where one outfit is seen as the number one outfit, then they will both have that situation. And then just the way that capturing a base works, where it's the more people you have, the more likely you are to take it. Or if you have, let's say there's 10 people for 69 KD on the point, but then there's 20 people that drop for 2RAF, then they will capture the point regardless of if one team is able to kill them faster than the other. Then you can have that quick steal 1 second, and then we have to spend 2 minutes trying to take it back. That was probably one of the biggest reasons why we would get behind in the 3 matches where we did get our steals. So that's the only like feedback I have, at least for the beginning of the match, if we want to keep it 1v1v1. But go ahead, Zaros.
I was just gonna say, Sal mentioned it in chat where because I'm reading it, the whole catch-up mechanics thing. You would have to have it not be a sort of blue shell mechanic, as he put it, where
right.
It would just decapitate first place, like, and punish you for winning, basically, because the system already punishes you for winning because you just get double teamed if you have 4 relics, and that's already incentivized. I think you'd have to have it so that it wouldn't cause that situation.
No, I totally agree.
It's completely it's an extremely difficult thing to think up and even implement.
I think the main issue too is like territory is a what did I call it? It is a finite resource, right? And everybody is going after it. So usually whoever has the most of that resource is going to be the one targeted. I brought it up a couple of weeks ago where I was like, somebody is robbing a bank, right? And then 2 other guys are also robbing the bank too. None of them are working together, but they all want to rob that same bank. And they're working at the same time, working together. But excuse me, not working together. They're working on the same day to do it. They all show up to the bank and they all start stealing money. And then they notice that one guy has more money than the other 2. So then the other 2 are like, yo, let's work together real quick and beat the crap out of this guy so we can take his money. And then as soon as somebody beats the crap out of that guy, then another guy becomes the number 1. So it's like, okay, let me beat the crap out of this guy. And I think that's kind of the assumption where it's like, I want to keep robbing the person with the most money. But then if one person is showing up and it's Zyros and he's like, I'm also going to rob this bank. And then the 2 other guys are like, oh, we're also robbing the bank at the same day. And we know Zyros is a known bank robber. He's a savant among thieves. Let's make sure that he can't steal money for as long as possible to ensure that we can at least steal money. Then you have that issue where, again, it's a finite resource. Zyros went to go try to steal money and then they locked the door on him. They were like, nope, you can't take any. Good luck trying to unlock it. And then they're like stealing all the money real quick. They get 200 points ahead, and then we're at 0. Yeah, they stole your J's, your laces. They pantsed you, bro. They pulled your pants down. Like, so that's kind of my thing, where it's like if it can be based on something that isn't necessarily a finite resource, that still makes it competitive, because territory has always been a finite resource in PlanetSide, whether it's alert meta, server smash, whatever you want to bring up when it comes to competitive formats. Now in this situation where it's microed, where all 3 outfits or 3 factions, whatever you want to call it, have the ability to directly interface with each other as soon as the match starts, it becomes difficult because, yeah, again, somebody has a track record, they don't have enough political elo, whatever you want to call it, and then, yeah, like an outfit like 69KD, recursion, help, 3-way, whatever you want to bring up from these past couple weeks, we'll get focused in the beginning. So it's really just a matter of, focusing on that beginning and stuff.
I wonder if it is like if you had, just to like harp on the catch-up mechanic thing, like if the beginning matters as much, because like there's a lot of cool strategy for people's like initial deployment, and understanding the population thing is kind of like the biggest issue that it seems that you're outlining here. But I wonder if there's like maybe so. Territory is super understandable. Like you either have it or you don't, or it's in contest or being contested, or it's cut off, and ultimately results in points. Like if you, that I feel like is probably one of the saving graces. If you were to make it like obfuscate it too much, so like if everybody was competing, well, actually, sorry, I was mulling some stuff over in my head. Like if the player's stats factored in more, like suddenly it becomes way less obvious like who's going to win and that sort of thing. So I think if you can like find a mixture of the two, like
my response to what you were saying earlier about like adding kills, as much as I like that, because again, it would like, if somebody was getting double teamed and it was blatant from like the stats, because there are a lot of people who claimed double teams, and I was watching, because I watched all the Connery and Emerald matches that I could, that were claiming that they could that they got double teamed, but then you would look at the statistics after and it looked like a fairly even fight. But if you look at last week's 69 KD match and then this week's, we had almost as many kills as the other 2 teams combined and less deaths than the other teams combined. Then people will argue that it's like, oh, your infantry's is better, but then we had more air kills and armor kills. And it's like one of those things again where it's like our stats talk for themselves. But the issue with that, I find, is, you want it to be like a viewable experience, or at least I don't want to assume. Like, do you think in the future Outfit Wars should be a thing that everybody watches, kind of like this, where it's our like esport, or do you think it's the idea for it in the future is just kind of be like, all right, well, everybody has matches if they want to play, but we're not necessarily going to stream them or like hype them up. Like, I want to get your clarification on that first. And if you don't know, you don't have to. I'm not trying to corner you again.
So you can see by just the people watching chat right now, this is exciting, right? I mean, 200 people watching Archie, 266 watching you currently. Maybe if I have to refresh. Like that's more people than ever watch PlanetSide 2.
I'll kind of break that down too, but I'll keep you going because I don't know if the reasons why they're watching are good. But continue.
Well, okay, I can guess where you're kind of going too. Yeah. But like, this didn't start without Outfit Wars. Like there was, I think that having these sort of broadcast experiences gives you something to watch that isn't just some dude farming kills or like.
Agreed. No, I agree 100% there.
Yeah,
that has been the major disadvantage of PlanetSide.
It's something different to do because it's either some Zergfit leader leading a platoon on stream, or it's someone just farming a bunch of kills, which is boring to like half the community in both aspects. Like,
yeah, no,
it's something different to do, and I appreciate that.
I definitely don't like consider this like esports or whatever. Like it's very much should be like an in-game sort of. It's an event, like it's a tournament format. Yes, there's rewards, and it's not. God, like I've grown very quickly to detest the word competitive because of how people perceive it. But you know what? Like Fortnite Battle Royale is competitive too. Like it's 1v1v1v1v1.
Anything could be competitive if it's got rewards and people playing on it in it to win. That is competitive by nature.
You're competing, right? Exactly. Like that's what it actually is. Like it's not esports. That's a totally different like subset. Like Yeah, so it's I've been trying to not use that word at all. I've just been calling it like an event or like a a tournament or whatever, because that weird verbiage has kind of like triggered the community lately. But I do think that it should just be like an event that outfits can go in and they can leverage their skills and their strategies and their efficacy with the different parts of the game and bring that into a format that everybody understands, like what the objective is. It's a limited experience. People they're practicing for it and they're coming up with different strategies, and that's just a really cool part of the game. Like it's the layer of meta for outfits that was lacking before.
Prior to it, yeah, exactly. It gets people to actually think about the game rather than just relying on dumping more pop. Haha, bring more dudes.
Yeah, so like I think my response to kind of like the 1v1v1 and then another format being 1v1v1v1, it's like, battle royales are free. Those are like free for alls. Like I don't want to call this a free for all. This is like, this game mode is perfect for a 1v1. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those formats where it is territory control. We've seen this sort of game mode happen before in PlanetSide and in other games, excuse me. So that when we get to the point where we are now, where we're talking about PlanetSide and we want it to hold on to that legacy of what PlanetSide is, 3 factions playing on live server, VS versus CR versus NC, whether it's alert meta or it's different metas. When you bring it down to something where, again, you're fighting over a finite resource that everybody wants, coming with the best strategy, doesn't necessarily mean you will win. Or having the best execution doesn't necessarily mean you will win, because there's a lot of other factors that kind of get folded in that wouldn't necessarily be in another game mode that had something, for example, that was 1v1, or even if it was a free-for-all. I think the biggest example, it's like if we had a situation where there was bad malice, right? So we can roll it back to like the earlier weeks, because I feel like we've already squashed this drama enough. But like the pigs, R18, and recursion matchups, regardless of that malice or that bad intent from R18 or from pigs, if it would have been a 1v1, it doesn't really matter that the opposing team of recursion hated them, because it's still equal. Now, when you ask that third team to also come in, and I think Gelos brought it up very, very well in his, because I talked to him one day, and he was talking about how they were doing a 6v6 one day. A random guy logged into Jaeger, pulled a Galaxy, landed it on a third faction, and started bulldogging the 6v6. That is Outfit Wars. Like, that's kind of like a really good way to summarize Outfit Wars. I remember that. Yeah, and that happened. It was rain to phase. He did it. Everyone's rain pogging. Like, it happened. And that was just a really good example that Gelos brought up that I can't seem to get out of my head. So when I bring that up, it's, again, the only ways I can see moving forward is either it does come 1v1, and I know I've never said, and I never will say, that like you personally or the development team itself has said 1v1s will never happen. We're not interested. We've deleted Nexus. Like, no, I've only brought it up just to be like, this is what we could have had, etc. When people get mad, I'm sorry. Like, emotions do rile up. You kind of said it earlier. So it's either make it 1v1 or make it a format where 1v1v1 isn't necessarily going to ruin the integrity of the game due to, again, the resources being finite. And the resources in this example are the territory. So you kind of brought up kills. You brought up maybe almost as like if you can capture the flag, maybe if you can like take the other team's warp gate. But like, again, that's another situation where if two teams hate one team, they'll just both focus the one warp gate. And then you'll have like an issue where it's like, it's kind of hard. So it's almost like the perfect reaction to this is like maybe figure out how to make it 1v1 or just keep moving forward with this and then hope that like people won't get, I don't know, as angry as they got at other outfits this time around. Because yeah, there's a lot of resentment with like the elite people and then the non-elite.
Yeah, so we might disagree a little bit, but I think that there is a way to make this format less conducive to like playing for second. or king making or whatever. Like I think that there are some gameplay changes that you can implement that can potentially, help resolve that. I don't have all the answers. It's something that we're just talking about. What can make this better. So it's a thought experiment, and there's a lot of discussion that would need to happen. But and I think when that time comes, it would make sense to pull in.
I
others
expect
as well,
answers right now. I'm just kidding. Like,
yeah,
no,
you and
no.
everybody else.
Yeah, no. Just the fact that
have
you're talking to me and Zyrus right now is huge. So I really appreciate it. But go ahead, Zyrus.
I do have like one thing, because this has just basically been brought up for me. How do you actually define who is the best outfit on like a server without them actually fighting each other? Because
that's a big
essentially
one too.
you're basically competing for points to get ahead of another outfit, but you're not actually competing against that outfit. So it's impossible to determine who actually is the best outfit on said server, unless you physically define it by the points that they have against the other factions. But you don't actually fight the same matchups that they do as the other outfits. So, you could get an easy run to the final, but you could still be worse than another outfit that basically went out before round of 3.
Yeah, the thing is that you should never have an easy run to the final. Like there was a lot of issues in this particular season. Like so you had the outfits that would sign up and then nobody would appear. You're right, so you get a free win. And then on top of that, you'd have the tie-breaking system was bugged. So it was like making it so certain outfits would like always like break the tie or like be on top of the tiebreaker, which isn't supposed to happen. Like you should be fighting different people every match based on the points or whatever.
Right, but could there potentially be a situation in the future where you could actually have and this obviously could happen, and you could have 3 outfits of the same faction in a match. But
that's our biggest hang-up.
Could you actually have 2 outfits from a different faction or from the same faction fight each other for a place?
Yeah, because it's like how do we know that like 3-way is better than 69 KD, like those 2 VS outfits?
I'd like to fight 3-way just
that would be sick
in that format, just to see who would actually come out on top of that. Because at the moment you're fighting other outfits purely to get ahead of other outfits instead of actually fighting those same outfits.
And the day that we're able to do 1v1s is the day that we solve that problem. Because like right now, like technically you could swing it. Like I could do it in a super janky way where you throw a couple of same outfits in, assign them to different teams because team technology kind of came along with NSO. But there's a lot of like usability issues with that. There's just a lot of problems in general.
Same faction outfits fight each other. Okay, yeah.
Yes, and that's what we would have to solve before we get into a 1v1 at all. Because like if you think about just how the tournament bracket would work, like you're eventually, if you're looking for like top outfits or whatever, like eventually you're going to be fighting somebody who's on your same faction, and you need ways to like clearly differentiate them from enemies or like from your allies. So that's like that's the big challenge, and that's like we would have to again like devote a bunch of resources to it. My timeline would probably be like 6 months after we started working on it, just to get it live, along with doing other things. This system in general has taken us quite a while. It was, well, I guess I shouldn't speak too much about the development process of it, but
you might cop a lot of flack from random people if there is 3 VS outfits in a final.
Because my issue here, that's true, but like I think about it less about community drama. Like people will always say one thing's more overpowered than the other, but my thing is like I think about it like if your job was my job, right? I submit my time card every day, when I'm done. I have to track my hours on what it is I'm working on. I'm not sure if it's that similar, but I'm just going to kind of apply your job to mine. And if it got to the point where I had to work like 10, 12, 15 hours a day on a Saturday to like track drama, it's like, yeah, you're incurring costs on the company itself while incurring costs onto yourself personally, whether it's stress, anxiety, molding like your Leroy. It's hard. Like there's a lot of stuff. So it's one of those things where you get to the point where like you can't support that because I would argue that what you're doing, not saying you're doing something wrong by mediating and, you know, DQing outfits if they deserve it, or looking and making sure that you know, logging in like you did just to make sure they aren't exploiting and stuff like that. Like what you're doing, it's huge. Like we appreciate that, but I would argue that it's outside of the scope of your job. Like you're the lead game designer, or at this point, I don't even know what your role is. I feel like you're doing so many things at this point. So it's like you mediating a tournament, like you're like an ESEA or an ESL or something like that. Like I don't think that's fair to you or fair to the community, because it's like you're stretched too thin. And like there was that Reddit post that you responded to. It's like, oh, we just need to hire a community manager and everything will be solved. But like it's a hard thing, because
that did not happen. Like just to be clear for everybody in chat, those are not the words used. Hiring a community manager certainly doesn't solve everything.
If you read the words that he was saying, he was kind of saying that. I'm not saying you said that.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, gotcha.
I'm talking about the post. You did not say that personally. My bad. I don't want it to sound like I said that you said that. I'm saying that the person who made the Reddit post, it was like, TLDR, if we just hire this, Wrel won't have to focus on this, and then everything will fix itself over time. I don't know about that one. But it is one of those things where it's like you're kind of stretching yourself thin, while the rest of the team is also probably stretching themselves thin. You're taking a lot of bullets here, and then you're constantly moving forward and then moving to new places to start taking more bullets. That it's like it's a hard thing to walk away from and say like this will fix it or that will fix it, because you're in this hard situation again where you don't really have the time to focus on one thing enough. Like I know a lot of people are like, if we leverage NSO, maybe you could fix it so that you could have every outfit versus each other regardless of faction. Making it 1v1 will fix it. There's the just frogs that just say just to do this one thing and everything will be solved, but it's not that simple. And I don't know. I've been critical of the format, and I agree. I've been probably the saltiest one about it, or at least I've been the saltiest one with viewers about it. I've seen saltier people, but there's a lot of stuff that need to be done. Like the people who say just a couple tweaks will fix this, I don't know if that counts as tweaks anymore, making major changes to like the scoring or the way the game is played, for example. So I don't know. It's a rough one. But I don't envy you at all, and I respect you regardless of if you think that I'm attacking you personally when I make these critiques. But like, you're in a hard spot. Like I don't envy you at all. Like if I had to do what you did in my job, I would have probably quit already. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
I totally could be that guy who, well, I mean, I can't be, honestly, because I'm not built that way. Who is just like doing their job like that? No, like the game doesn't die like until I stop working on it. Like I will drag this game to glory through the mud and everything else. And fortunately, I have a great team that helps like achieve everything. Oh man, yeah, like working like a 9 to 5, like I don't consider that. Like that's not my job. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with like trying to shepherd a title like this. You know, something that's been around for this long and has like so many intricacies when it comes to the player base and the community and just like how you monetize things, and how often you can monetize things, without reaching this level of discontent. Like there's just a multitude of factors that need to be weighed in the balance, and you always have to do so between the needs of the game, the needs of the company, and the needs of the community. But I think that we've gotten that balance wrong sometimes, and the community's felt it too. Like there's unexpected stuff that happens, like when somebody leaves a team or whatever. If they're like the main knowledge holder, it's just like, well, sure hope we can hire on somebody so we don't end up in a bad situation, for too long of a period of time. Like, so yeah, and I mentioned before that Outfit Wars has been has had a lot of cost. Overhead is what I refer to it as. It's just like, yeah, it takes a lot of like you said, I'm gonna get the words wrong, but like stress, emotional energy, maybe, and it's more than we can handle right now. So I'm honestly glad that this championship is kind of like done, because it'll give us the chance to like refocus a little bit. We won't have to deal with the drama every single week. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I've been attacked a lot too during it, and I'm not even part of the dev team. Like, I'm just a guy watching and like saying my stuff. It is rough. Like, and then I also love the people in chat that are like, oh, good. Now you've talked all this crap about Wrel and now you're sucking him off. Like, I don't understand this whole concept of like just giving like I think people really just want, they have this like hate boner against you where they really just want me to attack you now that you're finally like talking to me or something like that. And it's like, bro, I've never done that and I never will, dude. He's a guy, you're a person, just relax. Like, these people in chat that just like that's my thing where me saying that I don't envy your job, that's not me giving any sort of sympathy or something like that to him outside of his job role. I'm not saying that because I want him to like hire me. It's just weird. Again, like, that's why what I brought up earlier about like who is giving you feedback is, I think, the biggest thing ever. Like, I heard that there's like a closed test or something like that for the upcoming chapter 3 stuff over the weekend. Like, you've chosen those people and you're not like just letting anybody do the first round of testing, because you should value some feedback over others just because that's how it is. If somebody's been playing the game for 8 years, they're going to know some more than some guy that just like started up the game. That's just facts. Like, I don't know. This whole, again, like, I'm just trying to moderate my chat while you're kind of talking here, because a lot of shit's being talked. If you're here thinking that I'm going to attack Wrel and be like, this is dog shit, you suck, you should just quit, go away, bro. Like, literally leave. I don't know what you're here for. Like, and my mods are hard at work, by the way. My mods are very hard at work.
I see that. Just so you know, so we do have an internal testing group, like you said. We haven't done we were trying to get a playtest up this weekend, but it's just not close enough. The containment site, like the collision, still needs to be worked on. There's like it's just really rough. We're using like the actual models for the collision, because like a collision pass hasn't been done. Jeez, I keep saying the word collision. Anyway, and it would have been like a bad time, so I just ended up canceling that. And hopefully we'll get around to it next week.
Like friendlies getting stuck crouched inside people and stuff like that?
When did that bug happen?
Oh, it's been a thing. It's been a thing for multiple years now.
Yeah. I just can't. I remember there being like a specific point in history when it started happening where you couldn't stand up after crouching, and then somebody like walking over you.
I'll be very sad if you fix the launch pad bug where you can jump inside of each other and launch each other, but
okay, you're lucky I don't know about that one.
Oh.
I only know about the launch pad stuff from from hitting weird angles, like jumping on a tank or whatever, like jumping on the side of a corner, like you can get rocket shipped into the air.
I've done a horrible thing.
Well, now I'll be on the lookout.
It's very fun. It's not something you actually encounter ever, and it's
But yeah, I think
also I'm being asked about like the whole mass acceleration debacle as well. If that's going
I'd
to be
argue that
looked
that's
into,
outside
but
of the scope of this conversation.
It is outside of the scope of this conversation. Yeah.
Like, this is my point. Like, I don't want to ambush Wrel with like.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
now that we have you on the line, would you be interested in buying this other thing?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so like the conversation overall, like Outfit Wars, yeah, it's rough. I'm sorry you had to deal with this matchup.
We had fun.
You guys did a great job.
It's not a big deal about the matchup. It is part of the game. Like it was inevitable in a lot of senses. As soon as we were in gold, that was going to happen.
We called it last week.
They knew it.
Zyros and I talked this time last week, and we said that although we won last week, next week it's gonna be a rough one, and we called it. Yeah. So it is what it is for sure.
But hopefully we can make some adjustments to the format, maybe. But it's, again, like, we have to talk about it, see if it would even help. Whatever change we decide to come up with, and we'll probably be talking to the community about that too, if it comes down to that time. Anyway. I'll let you get back to.
I have to go play in Connery Outfit Wars.
Yeah, same. So, ringers. I'm sorry. We'll have to talk about that.
Hey, I've been in recursion for like 3.5 years.
Hey, I helped Cox found VIKG back in 2015. So we both have excuses. Like
anyone calling me a ringer SMH.
No,
yes,
Wrel,
we will come up with harder guidelines in the future, so there is no ambiguity as to what is and isn't allowed.
Same
Thank
server
you.
ringing,
I
I think,
appreciate
should
that.
be off the table in every capacity. But
All right.
cross
I
guys.
appreciate it, Rel. I really
fine
do,
by my
and
books.
thanks for hopping on for the time that you did. I don't know if this is chargeable hours to Daybreak or not, or Rogue
Yeah, I
Planet,
appreciate
but
it.
hey, get your bag. And I really appreciate like you hopping on and kind of just talking through what happened. And yeah, I do. Although I've been talking a lot of smack. Remember, I talk smack in love. I talked smack to Aflic the other day, and he almost hated me forever. But no, for real. I appreciate you hopping on. And then Zyre, same with you, bro. It's like probably 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning for you too.
I mean, I've
so.
got to go brag out on Connery now, so
Yeah, I mean, you weren't going to
it
sleep
is what it
anyways,
is.
but I just like bringing up
I'm-
that you're a
I'm in a good
degenerate
sleeping
and you
schedule.
never
Shut
sleep.
up.
No.
I've been
You're on
waking
an
up at 10
NA
a.m.
sleeping
every day.
schedule in the UK. So, anyways.
I've been waking up at 10 a.m. every day.
All right. But yeah, thank you, Rel. I
No
appreciate
cap.
it.
All
All right.
facts.
See
In
ya.
chat,
Thanks.
thank
Thank
Rel
you.
as
Yeah, I
well.
appreciate
Do
it
not
as
be
well.
mean. Thank Rel. All right. Peepo ham and thank him. All right. Thank you, Rel.
Bye.
Bye.